one giant leap for mankind.
First Man, rated PG-13.
Cough doesn't sound so good. Take Mucinex DM.
I'll text you in 4 hours when your cough returns.
One pill lasts 12 hours, so...
Looks like I'm good all night.
Mucinex DM releases fast and lasts 12 hours, not 4. Let's end this.
Maybe a lot of people have forgotten the value of a hard day's work, but we see it every day.
Enjoyed for 125 years by those who work hard. Maxwell House, good to the last drop.
Make sure whatever you're into outside doesn't ruin your vehicle's inside. WeatherTech keeps you protected with everything from cargo liners, bump step, and side window deflectors to our laser measured floor liners. Order yours today at WeatherTech.com. The ultimate protection for your vehicle.
How do you top mac and cheese? Start with 100% clean ingredients, like Vermont white cheddar. Then add bacon, barbecue chicken, or Baja blend. Catering and delivery now available. Panera, food as it should be.
Why bother mastering something? Because when you want to create an entirely new feeling, the difference between excellence and mastery is all the difference in the world. Introducing the all-new Lexus ES, a product of mastery. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
Today we're here to talk about trucks.
I love trucks.
Well, what truck brand comes from the family of the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickups on the road?
I think it's the Chevy.
Ford.
It's not Ford.
I think it's Ram.
Not Ram either.
It's
Chevy.
Gorgeous.
Get a total value of $10,000 when you finance with GM Financial. That's 20% below MSRP on this Chevy Silverado.
The delicate skin on your neck can show age. Or not.
Gold Bond Neck and Chest Cream helps improve texture and increase elasticity. 97% had visibly firmer skin. Gold Bond Neck and Chest for visibly firmer skin.
Family Taco Night is a heartburn night you can plan for. But surprise pizza at the office means heartburn you didn't expect. Zantac works when you need it. It relieves or prevents heartburn in as little as 30 minutes and lasts up to 12 hours. Zantac. Eat your way, treat your way.
As a native son of Palm Beach County, Rick Roth has an unbreakable bond with our unique ecosystem. Rick made cleaning and protecting our waters a top priority, working with local, state, and federal agencies to prevent future blue-green algae blooms and decrease dangerous levels of phosphorus and nitrogen-laden waters released from Lake Okeechobee and septic tanks. Representative Roth knows that only a comprehensive approach with cooperation by all parties will we solve this crisis.
Be sure with the Shield. American Home Shield. Every season, every storm, every time you watch, trust in the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 79 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Today, thunderstorms, high 89. Winds south-southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Chance of rain, 80%. Tonight, late-night thunderstorms, low 76. Winds southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance of rain, 40%. Friday, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon, high 87. Chance of rain, 50%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Wow. All right, so Mexico Beach is where we're showing you those pictures. That's the eastern eye wall of Michael as it came ashore at about lunchtime yesterday for everybody. You know, in kind of a rare very well-defined eye went over Tyndall Air Force Base in Callaway. I'm sure there was a calm and a sun out, but in this eastern eye wall, forget that. Again, this area this morning not only dealt with the structural damage from the wind, but they're dealing with structural damage from the surge. You maximize the surge to the right of the center. That's exactly where this went in that eastern eye wall. I mean, look at this. You can't even make out what's going on here. Incredible pictures out of Mexico Beach. And again, we haven't seen yet everything that's happened there because there's just so extensive a damage. I just finished, if you're just joining us, everybody, an interview with Officer Eric Abraham here, Panama City, and he was just describing what he dealt with as a military man, going to Iraq and coming here. And he said, Jim, the only thing that's not here that was there in terms of a war zone are overturned tanks. So similar situation here. And again, we're in Panama City where the western eye wall came through. Grocery store, auto repair, gym, in that order. So these buildings destroyed. I was just talking to a gentleman who walked down the street. He said his power line has obviously been ripped from his home, but his home is okay. But there is structural damage to that as well. And even as I kind of look around to some of these trees, you'll notice how they've been almost de-leafed to an extent, not stripped of their bark. That's a different animal, but you're still talking about winds to do that of about 100 miles per hour or so. So strong EF1, EF2 damage. It's not everywhere, all right? So that building, certainly dealing with structural damage. But look at this truck, all right? So interestingly enough, were the stronger winds maybe 20 feet off the ground versus down here at 10 feet. And there are major changes in the wind energy with the hurricane as you go from the surface even as high as 40 feet. The wind can change and increase in speed up to about 45%, which is kind of amazing. This is all stuff we're learning about these eye walls and the wind field within these eye walls. So either way, the higher you go, the higher the wind speed typically, certainly in a tropical system. You get away from the friction of the ground and the friction of the earth. All right, Kelly, again, one of the things that Officer Abraham told us, that there are people trapped in their homes. They're trying to get to those people. They're trying to use heavy equipment to move some of the debris off the road. Debris like you see behind me and through here. So this is very much search and rescue situation. Not only on the western eye wall side, but also on the eastern eye wall side. Over to you.
I pray everybody's okay, Jim. So far, we do have 2 confirmed deaths with this storm, and that's too many, as you mentioned earlier. So we're going to continue to track Michael, now a tropical storm, but we're also looking back at the destruction that it caused here in the Florida Panhandle, especially out of Mexico Beach. This is where the landfall occurred. We're talking Category 4 strength on a scale from 1 to 5 on the Saffir-Simpson scale, 5 being the worst, and it was just shy of 5 strength with winds of 155 miles per hour, debris strewn all over the place, trees knocked over. And Jim made a very good point earlier. We're still not really sure how high the water got when it came to the storm surge. So all these things will be investigated further as we go through time. All right, also some video out of Panama City Beach. This is where Jim Cantori, Stephanie Abrams rode out the storm, and you can see the wind just whipping across Oceanfront Street. Winds even getting inside the building. The McDonald's sign, look at that, just twisted. Utility poles also ripped, torn over, pulled over, and also traffic lights ripped off as well. So that's why we have thousands of customers still without power, not just in the Panhandle of Florida, but parts of Georgia, and now getting into South Carolina. We're getting reports of more and more power outages as well. The good news is the weather behind the system is turning so much better for the cleanup, for assessing some of that damage. But this is just a recap to show you. It was at 12:30 Central Time. We saw that landfall, Cat 4, Mexico Beach, working its way into southern Georgia. Still a major hurricane. This thing held together very well, moving very quickly, and it's still moving fast to the northeast at 21 miles per hour, but no longer a hurricane. It is now a tropical storm. But you can see the power outages by county here. We're talking 10, 20,000 customers without power in parts of Georgia, down toward the Florida Panhandle. It may take some time to get that power restored, especially when you're talking poles, not just wires. And you can see South Carolina now with 72.8 thousand customers without power. And also here in Alabama, p.m., a 58.8 thousand customers without power. So we still have a severe threat. We still have the tropical storm warnings in effect. I mean, this thing is still a tropical entity, and it's racing through South Carolina right now, moving out of Georgia. And on the eastern side of that center, that's where you have the heavier rain bands with flash flood warnings going here for western portions of North Carolina, Greenville, Spartanburg, more than 800,000 people in that warning, and then down towards Columbia, South Carolina, involved in a flash flood warning as well. So, you know, Jim, we're still not done with Michael yet, but where you are, it's going to be interesting to see, you know, when all the stats come together, what exactly took place down there.
Well, what I think you're going to see is, you know, a bona fide Category 4 hurricane, the strongest ever in any month to come into the Panhandle, third lowest pressure of any U.S. landfalling hurricane. We'll be right back.
I'm missing out on our family outings because I can't find a bladder leakage product that fits. Everything was too loose. But Depend Fit Flex feels tailored to me.
With a range of sizes for all body types, Depend Fit Flex underwear is guaranteed to be your best fit.
Sometimes a cough gets in the way of a good night's sleep. That's when he needs Vicks Vapor Rub, proven cough medicine with 8 hours of vapors, so he can sleep. Vicks Vapor Rub. Good night, coughs.
Why bother mastering something? Because when you want to create an entirely new feeling, the difference between excellence and mastery is all the difference in the world. Introducing the all-new Lexus ES, a product of mastery. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
Brittany wants her allowance, but you don't have any cash. The current debit card for teens allows you to deposit electronically, monitor her spending, and teach good spending habits. Now Brittany has the freedom to earn and shop with her very own debit card. Go to current.com and try Current for free today.
Nothing outlasts Energizer Ultimate Lithium. Hey, you can't do that. Can he do that?
Yeah, he's good.
Energizer Ultimate Lithium. It's the #1 longest lasting battery.
For every home project, HomeAdvisor finds trusted local pros. For every pro, you can read customer reviews. And for everybody's busy schedule, you can book appointments online. For every project, you have HomeAdvisor. Go to HomeAdvisor.com.
Behold, the Pacifica Hybrid. It's half gas, half electric. Kind of like I'm half mom, half comedy sensation. What?
More like half mom, half got dressed in the dark.
Half drama queen, half accessory stealer. Yeah, I know that's my bracelet.
Mom, how long are you two gonna do this?
With a 566-mile driving range, I can do this all day. Oh! Hope we see some of your friends.
Who knew?
Yeah. So you're with the UPS store?
Yes. In fact, we printed these right here.
Oh, I thought you guys just did shipping.
No, we do printing, packing, faxing, notarizing, shredding, mailboxing, copying, taping, binding, consulting, designing, returning, storing, grading. Oh, and of course, shipping.
So you're in the shipping?
We also do printing, packing, faxing.
Come into the UPS store today for everything your small business needs. And of course, shipping.
What if you didn't have to pay a premium to get a premium paint? At the Home Depot, you not only get the highest quality paint in America at the lowest price, you also get a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Mix that with more choices and more know-how, and you get more confidence to start painting. You can find a higher price, but you can't find a better paint. Guaranteed. Now get Behr Premium Plus starting at $26.98. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing.
It's been a really tough afternoon here in the Panama City area.
We are getting reports of significant damage now to Panama City.
And this morning now, tropical storm Michael, dumping heavy rain and whipping winds across the southeast after causing catastrophic damage to the Florida Panhandle with deadly results. The third lowest pressure of any U.S. landfalling hurricane. You can see what happened. From Florida to South Carolina, more than 750,000 people are in the dark. We've got 108 counties right now in Georgia and also Florida under states of emergency. And we've got another 24 hours before Michael exits the East Coast as it now brings its rain and wind into areas that were hit by Florence. All right, so we've got all sorts of stuff going on. I'm meteorologist Chip Cantori close to downtown Panama City. That's off to my east a little bit here. This is on the western side of where the center came ashore. But you can see there's structural damage in this western eye wall. When you have a 155-mile-an-hour hurricane, that's a auto repair shop. Down away from here, you can see that is a gym. And Brad, turn even more. Well, there was a police car down there earlier, but we were told that there's actually the smell of gas, and there is a boat lying in the middle of the road here. So there's all sorts of damage, pretty much as far as the eye can see. We do have, at least here, power poles that are still standing. All right, that's not the case on the western side or the farther west that you go. All right, east, into downtown Panama City. We were hearing from Officer Abraham earlier this morning. They're trying to get still into some of these areas. It is a search and rescue in some of these areas as well, on into Mexico Beach, where some of the damage was on the eastern side. All right, Steph, I know you've made your way back in toward Panama City. Give us an update on where you are in Panama City and what you're seeing.
So, Jim, we've been driving around for literally 4.5 hours. I'm not kidding you. We left the hotel at 3:30 this morning. It's now 8 o'clock. We're just now able to get live because there's so much debris and damage. We were trying to get to Mexico Beach. We even had police escort, and it was impossible to get there because of all the debris. Where we ended up was back in Panama City. Now, wait until you see what I'm about to show you. This is a railroad, and these are train cars, freight cars, that are tilted over. From what I could tell when I walked around the other side, there is nothing in these. They were empty. And if you look up how much these weigh, we're talking 60,000 pounds, right? Around 30 tons is how much these train, and it goes as far as the eye can see. Look at this. Train car after train car after train car after train car. The entire thing is over. And by the way, this is not we're going to be able to walk the other direction if you're with us all morning long to show you. Some of them have platforms that stayed on and the cars have tipped over. Then, of course, there's debris that is just, wrapped around what's left of these train cars. Power lines down. Look at the debris as you go all the way down this train track. You see pieces of wood, across from us, which we'll show you a little bit later, depending on how much time we have right now, I could show you. There's some sheds. So I think that these pieces of wood are parts of sheds that have been mangled about as well. So it is devastation. It is a wasteland. But this just shows you the power of the winds. That 30-ton freight cars have been tipped over. And it's not just one or two. It is as far as the eye can see down these train tracks. I mean, I would guess, at least, 2-3 tenths of a mile going down there from when we drove in this direction. And just looking at all the trees, you see, this was a lush green area. And now the trees are bent over, the power lines are bent over. It's really, really devastating here into Panama City. And we were driving in on Highway 77, on either side of the road. You saw, look at this garage across the street. I'm not sure what you can and can't see here right now, but those garage doors have been mangled. These little, they're not homes, but, little sort of storage sheds. Those have been tossed about as well. This is what happens when you go through the eye wall of a Category 4. We were driving around and we thought this looks more like tornado damage than anything. But when you have winds, in the eye wall at 155 miles an hour, these are the power lines that are down here. We came to an area, or our cars were actually underneath. It's sustained up there, but this power pole snapped, and you see this sheet metal that's wrapped around it, and then again, it's as far as the eye can see, just littered about with debris, chunks of wood, trees. In fact, trees that have just been snapped, the top of the trees have been snapped off. again, something that's more reminiscent of tornado damage, you know, which is what we saw essentially, is a massive tornado that rolled through. Now remember, if you've never seen a train car up close, I am 5'8", just about 5'8", just to show you the size of these things and how big they are, right? The length and the width of these. In fact, they're about, 50 feet by 60 feet. And we're talking 60,000 pounds. So I just can't imagine what it was like here when this, I want to call it like a tornado cane, was coming through, right? I think that's the best way to describe it. This was a tornado cane that came through Panama City. Now, we tried to get to Mexico Beach, but it was absolutely impossible. They were in the eastern eye wall, which is stronger than the western eye wall. So imagine we're showing you the damage in the weaker eye wall, right? So Mexico Beach, devastated. We've seen some of the video coming in there, but Kelly, you have that video, I'm told, to show everyone that, imagine, this is the weaker of the eye walls, what it has done, and then, of course, the stronger of the eye walls.
Yeah, Steph, you give a great perspective to people who are watching from other parts of the country, wondering about loved ones, wondering if they can get back into their neighborhoods, and it's going to take some time to get rid of all that dangerous debris. Look at this video right here. Okay, so Steph just talked about this basically, being like an EF3 tornado hitting a wide area of the Panhandle. This is Panama City in the height of the storm. This was 155-mile-per-hour winds. You're looking at the western eye wall of the storm. As Stephanie mentioned, that's not even as strong as what you saw on the eastern side. And we're going to show you pictures out of Mexico Beach in just a minute. But yeah, this eye wall came ashore about 35 miles east of Panama City, doing that kind of damage. Again, another look at Panama City, another vantage point to show you the destruction that Michael caused. This city weathering the brunt of Hurricane Michael's destructive force as it made landfall 12:30 Central Time, toppling trees, blowing around stoplights, ripping off roofs. Certainly cannot venture out even now because of all the debris out there. So we do have a curfew in effect for Bay County until at least 8 o'clock this morning, but we'll hopefully get an update on that for you coming up. About 85 miles away, water roaring into this neighborhood. This is on St. George Island. This video showing you just how bad the storm surge was as Michael made landfall. The worst of it, by the way, was at Apalachicola, where we saw a record 7.73 feet. Again, it's that onward push of seawater basically coming in from the Gulf of Mexico, inundating areas that are normally, dry ground. So we've got a recap of this storm that is certainly going down in the history books. A record-breaking storm in terms of how strong it was, hitting the Florida Panhandle as a Category 4, winds 155 miles per hour. So just shy of Category 5 strength. Category 5 being the worst on the Saffir-Simpson scale. Holding together pretty well as it headed for South Georgia, still as a major hurricane, doing some damage here in South Georgia, and even now working its way through the Carolinas, packing winds of about 40 to 50 miles per hour. So we're not done with Michael yet, even though it has been downgraded to a tropical storm. Look at these winds, by the way, along the coastline, Tyndall Air Force Base, 129 miles per hour over towards Panama City, where Steph is, 116 miles per hour. Up here in Dothan, 61, but Donaldsonville, Georgia, well over 100 mile per hour winds. Again, that's Cat 3 over 111. So now we're bringing the storm through the Carolinas, which of course were hard hit by Florence just a month ago. So we don't need the rainfall. We don't need any wind. The trees are already vulnerable and susceptible to falling over, even with the winds that are not that strong. And then working its way across Norfolk, Virginia, later tonight into tomorrow morning. By the way, the Northeast, including New Jersey, Pennsylvania, you guys all get the rain from Michael as well, and even the chance for some severe weather. So here's the rain going on. Greenville, Spartanburg under a flash flood warning, winds gusting to 30. Columbia still under a flash flood warning as well. And now watching the high country of western North Carolina, several counties are still under a flash flood warning at this time. All right, back out to Steph now in Panama City.
Okay, so we've shown you over the years a lot of hurricane damage. Now remember, we had Irma and Harvey last year that were Category 4s, but this one was a Category 4 with 155 mile an hour winds coming ashore. All right, before Harvey and Irma last year, it was Charlie back in 2004, and we've seen a lot of the roofs ripped off, piles of debris. But have you ever seen anything like this? An entire train pushed off the tracks. The entire train. You see it is car after car after car. Some of these, by the way, some of these freight cars not only taken off the track, we had the wheels that stayed. I'm not sure if that's the technical word to use, but for all intents and purposes, the wheels, it got ripped off of that, right? So there's the connector. Can you see that right there? That was holding it on, okay? And it got ripped off of that. Was this a tornado or was this strictly the winds? Because these things weigh 60,000 tons. So, 60,000 pounds. I'm sorry, lack of sleep. 60,000 pounds, about 30 tons. Excuse me for that. Well, if you walk down a little bit farther, you see some of the trains did stay, or I should say the boxcars did stay intact with the wheels below. Okay? So some fell off, some got totally tipped over. This goes, I mean, when we drove down here, I want to say it's got to be at least 0.3 of a mile, maybe half mile. We could clock it a little bit later with the car. But look, it goes as far as the eye can see. As far as the eye can see. So just incredible damage, Jim. As you know, I'm calling this thing a tornado cane because that's what it looks like, is a massive tornado went through. Did this train car get tipped over because of just straight the hurricane force winds for hours getting in that eye wall? Or did a tornado knock this over? I can't say for sure.
Hey, Steph, do me a favor, and I'm not going to have you do this on the spot, but let me know which way those tracks are going. Are they, in fact, going east-west? Because we know in Panama City we had a north wind. So my point is, was it at a perpendicular angle to the train, and that could have blown it over?
Great question. Okay, Jim, we can't do it on the spot because here's what we know. The sun rises in the east, right? I can show you. If we have time, I can show you now, Jim. If not, tell me we don't have time. That's cool. Okay, the sun rises in the east. All right, so we have 3 minutes to the break, Jim. So that is the sun rising off to the east, right? So, Jim, this train track, it's not due east-west, but I will say that there is an east-west component to it. So with that northerly wind, and it is flopped over south. Yep. So, Jim, yes, good call that this might have just been that north wind, you know, hammering it. But can you believe that?
That is unbelievable. That is so guys, you know, like Steph said, almost like a little tornado cane. That's a great way to describe it, Stephanie, because instead of a 30-second gust to over 100 miles an hour, you've literally got, 30 to 40 minutes of that going on in that area. So that's incredible, Steph. Just an incredible shot that you have for us this morning. All right. So, again, as we talked to Officer Eric Abraham this morning, he said on the east side of town here in Panama City, search and rescue. They're trying to get past some of the debris. Let's, because this is what we do first, we want to show you we do have a little bit of just a little silver lining here for you. Here comes a cold front. A true fall cold front. Look at the dew points out ahead of this thing. That's the tropical air mass that Michael helped pretty much just deposit, and really it's been here for almost a month and a half now. But look at that. Look at the dew points behind this front into the 50s. Yeah, that's coming through today. And look at by noontime Friday. You're talking about mid-40-degree dew points. 85 degrees with a 45 dew point